Good morning.
Good morning.
So, it was super fun to watch this math lesson, and particularly to sort of think about how rubric cycle has shifted what it looks like a bit in here. It was fun to watch that in practice. So why don't you talk just a little bit about how you think the lesson went?
For the most part, I thought it went really well. That's the first time that they've ever added three numbers together before. So, and the book directs you towards just having them do the two algorithms to be able to do that. So that was where I was going with the direction of it. And it was pretty interesting to see what I was getting as results of that.
Okay, so talk a little bit. I feel like you perhaps adjusted your instruction or your plan a little bit. Talk about why you did that and sort of how you came to that conclusion.
Yeah, definitely our learning targets were for during the develop part. I wanted them to work with a partner so they could talk through their strategy and make sure they were on the right track of doing that. And as they were working with their partners, I saw that it was not happening. Either they weren't working together or they were not using the correct strategy that I wanted them to try. Today, I feel like they're becoming very independent with their math strategies, which I'm very excited about that they can do that, but they weren't willing to stray from their comfort zones and try a different way.
So what did you do when you very first sent them out to try to get them headed in the right direction?
It was just direct modeling for each individual group that I saw that was struggling with that, but as I progressed around the room and doing those spot checks, I saw that it was pretty much a consensus for the whole class that was struggling. So that's why I'm like, oh, I have to pull them back together and we have to talk about this again.
So that's exactly what I thought happened, and I really loved how you were able to sort of try to get them there through academic feedback. Then when you realized, that you adjusted your instruction and pulled them back together and tried to get them back on the right path again. So let's look at your student work a little bit and see what it looks like. I have it paper clipped here into, I do have one question about one of them though, but then I paper clipped them into ones that I thought were high and were on target, ones that were sort of in the middle, and then these down here that were, but I want to look at them a little bit to see if you agree with. So my first question is, do you know how Peyton's ended up? Do you think that Michelle helped her with it?
I think so, yes.
Because that doesn't match with what I saw.
No, because she...
when I left, this isn't what it looked like,
No.
And that looks like maybe it's
an adult handwriting.
so
yes.
I'm gonna kind of take hers out of the mix and let's see what Michelle
I
says
agree.
about that.
Yes.
Okay, so two different sort of tasks. The first one was the strategy and algorithm itself, and then being able to explain in writing. And I feel like these were able to do both. The writing part,
we're definitely developing in that area, but and they're starting to understand that I'm not going to accept yes, no, but
and
they
these
have to.
all have an actual explanation. They were really focused on that they're the same numbers.
Right.
That's really the answer, which is
true,
is the
but
basic understanding of it. So why don't you look through those a little bit and then talk to me about how you think those kids were able to be successful with that.
I think the question was kind of confusing for them as well, a little bit, but if they really understood it, they did say the yes, but because this one even said no, but you would still get the same answer. So I don't think they completely understood the question.
And that's why I thought that it went in this pile, because the written explanation really was correct then.
And you can see I retaught a little too because they were confused on the question.
I left that one in there because I felt like even though you had written retaught on there, that they did show mastery of it by the end.
They did,
so,
yep, and just that little explanation of the question was enough to get her over the edge. Yeah, no, that looks...
So talk to me about what you sort of see as a theme. I think more in the first question than the second.
Yeah, I mean, if you change the order of the numbers, do you get the same answer? I think they all understood that part, and that they understood if you flip-flop the numbers, it's still okay. The other part, why do you think so, was pretty basic
Right.
and low-level thinking with that.
But this was day one.
Yes.
So
yes.
I feel like really good evidence of mastery
Yes.
for this pile. The middle pile I don't want to spend as much time with because most of them are a error in addition and not an actual error in understanding, because that's the correct process, but she
Right.
just made a computational
Yes.
error. And this one,
I don't think fully understood.
was sort of a middle, more because of the written component
Right.
that didn't really describe to me. So correct answer, but I don't see any understanding of,
No.
agreed?
Right. Yeah. There's no strategy. I mean, I can't see how they solve that.
No, that one could maybe move over.
You did, yeah.
I think that one can move over.
And that again didn't show
Mm-mm.
anything.
So,
Yep.
it, sort of, but I felt, so let's dig into the pile of kiddos who that maybe struggled a little bit. Same with me. Okay.
I like how she remembered our last unit we just finished
Isn't
with
that
rectangles.
hilarious? Man, she didn't.
Yeah, no matter how you see the rectangle, it's the same rectangle.
Which,
She's kind
do
of.
you think she was trying to make a connection?
I think she
to,
was saying that
um,
it doesn't matter this way, just like our rectangles doesn't matter which way you.
However, I don't really know what she was doing.
No, I don't know where she got.
I don't know where the 2 came from.
Mm-mm.
So,
Unless she was just trying to make a 10, make it easier for her. So did she pull?
and then she wrote 18 plus 1 is 19 and got the correct answer. So I really don't know.
Yeah, I don't understand her thinking.
This one we're going to kind of sort out because that's word completion,
Okay.
which is a different, still low, but
Numbers. Use a number line, but got 2 different claims.
so
Yeah.
I again,
Almost,
when I
but
think about these, they were able to really use your model
Mm-hmm.
to, and went off kind of on his own strategy
Right.
and didn't. So same.
yes, yes.
So same.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I start to see a theme
Right.
when I look at these. Talk to me about what you think that theme might be.
It's whether they were listening to what the directions were and the standard and the strategy I wanted them to use, and those at least tried and attempted both the medium and the high, but they just went on their own and did their own thing.
So if we think about that idea of modeling and really thinking about could it be even 2-tiered in the sense of stepping into the student's role and then explaining do you feel like that?
I think it definitely helped after I went back and did that reteaching, because then when they worked independently, a lot of these stepped it up and were able to get it. I still, the strategy was hard for a lot of them yet to use because they wanted to use what they were comfortable with and they weren't willing to step outside and try. So
Do you think that they needed some additional support during your model?
I was wondering if I should have used more manipulatives other than just me using them. I even thought about having students stand up and model it, physically get up and model adding those 3 numbers together, just so they could visualize what they were doing, because I did have a couple students that would add 2 numbers together and then we're done. They didn't even add the 3rd number with them, so they weren't really grasping it. So
It's funny, that's kind of exactly what I was thinking, is that either or, if you had actually, you did get the cubes out, but you only used them in the very beginning
Briefly,
of the model,
yeah.
and then if you had either continued using them each time so that they could see, look, I can stack them, now I can stack them in a different way. But I really like the idea of having
Yeah,
some
and I was
kids
a little,
come up
I
and-
was hesitant to use them too much because I was afraid then they were going to use them as a picture and they were going to draw
Right.
them on their paper, which
Right.
a couple did.
Yes.
And so I'm like, I didn't really want to show that on the anchor chart.
I
with
wonder
that.
if that's exactly what is it, that you show them, but then say, but how I'm going to record it looks like
that's-
this.
Yeah.
So that you do show them, this is my expectation for what you're going to put on your paper,
yeah.
but here's the thinking behind what you're going to do. If that would have helped those that,
Yeah.
because really I feel like that's the gap, is these kiddos really understood your expectations for what you wanted them to do in the written part of it.
Yes.
And these guys sort of tried to use whatever their own strategy was and maybe didn't get there. Talk to me about the lesson the next day.
Yeah, it was exciting, and that was the lesson that I had remembered from last year, and I was excited to teach that because then it was make a 10 or make a double first, and that really the students could attach to that and they could understand that a lot easier. And so a lot of these students that weren't following the strategy I wanted to then understood it and got it. So it wasn't so, I don't know how to say that. It wasn't such a strange.
Well, I wondered about that that's one of the things that when I was really looking at this, those aren't very friendly numbers.
No.
So there wasn't a natural, which I think they did on purpose because they didn't want them to just make the 10 and
Right.
they wanted them to be
I know,
thinking
but it
about
made
that.
it made everybody feel uncomfortable, I think, me as well as the students, because I'm like, oh, I just want to show them an easier strategy, but I guess it got them thinking. So, and then they were very excited because they could easily answer those problems. Like, can we do more? And so they were feeling good about it at the end. So,
I want to just go back to something that you said before that I just thought of. When you were planning that model, when I was processing it, both when you were doing it and then when I thought about it later, we've worked so hard on it, particularly in math, not giving them the answers so that they're required to do the thinking and the problem solving and the inquiry and I feel a little bit like that's what you were thinking.
yeah, it was. I mean, I wanted them to do some of the hard work, and I wanted them to kind of internalize that and make those transitions in their mind, but I don't know if they're quite ready for it yet, because I don't think they've ever experienced this. This is the first time they've ever experienced this, so.
Well, and I just wonder if when we're in planning moving forward, if we don't need to sort of think about what's the difference between those introductory lessons and our model, and then as we
Almost gradually releasing them out.
across the course of the
Right.
unit and
Right.
not just the week or the day or the because I think they got gained from it,
Yes.
and I think that I think with a heavier model,
Yeah.
you would have maybe found some more. Okay, so I think we have a pretty good plan to just.
Good morning. If you have decided to